With the massive weekend coming up where the biggest conundrum will be solved, do you go for Barbie or Oppenheimer first? I think I'm very clear about going for the Nolan historical saga first and then landing up for the Greta Gerwig brainchild. In however, my obsession with Nolan movies and it always being an event for me, as he is one of the few creators that is still safeguarding theatrical viewership and is pushing himself to bring innovative stories that motivate audiences to make the trip to the big screen, being absolutely pumped for Oppenheimer, I thought I would list down the Nolan movies from my least favorite to the best, and before I even start, I have to make it very clear that I don't think Nolan has made a bad movie, so don't call me out on saying that I really said that a Nolan movie was bad. I'm just pointing out my list in ascending order. So here is Tried&Refused Productions with ranking Christopher Nolan movies from worst to best. Number 11 goes to Following. This is a feat in itself. Christopher Nolan's first movie made on a minuscule budget of about $6,000, a film that he made with actors that he personally knew and presumably only shot on the weekends when they had time, and is really representative of how storytelling can be engaging without a huge investment in gear. The movie, with its brief running time of 70 minutes, focuses on a man who has an odd interest in following people. He isn't a stalker or a serial killer, but has voyeuristic tendencies and a genuine curiosity of people's day-to-day life, only to chance upon a person who identifies him and then introduces him to his life of burglary and theft. Nolan integrates a non-linear narrative that gets enhanced later in Memento, and the short running time doesn't really help in fully engaging us with the characters in this movie, but it was early days of a director who was identified, and one could clearly see the potential of his form and how it will prosper in the years to come. Number 10 goes to Tenet. I rewatched this movie and started to really wonder whether Nolan really drank the complicated Kool-Aid for this one, so much so that it becomes not only emotionally distant but convoluted to the point of being homework for the audience. The manipulation of time and preventing attacks in the future boasted of exceptional action set pieces and some of the most jaw-dropping frames with practical effects that really made you think about how the hell Nolan executed the same. But when audiences were only decoding the plot through various YouTube videos, it probably got insanely complex where one had just lost bearings of what was happening. Usually Nolan does have a huge grasp of high concepts while still being emotionally immersive, and I feel like that balance went missing in Tenet despite it being technically brilliant. Number 9 goes to Insomnia. This is actually considered to be Nolan's least liked movie from an audience perspective and is also a film that many people don't know about. It's a film many people say that they watched after discovering Nolan and his ability with the Batman trilogy, but I would actually argue that this film is extremely underrated. Having the likes of Al Pacino, Robin Williams and Hilary Swank, the film focuses on two detectives who investigate the murder of a teenage girl in Alaska. Guilt overrides many of the characters. A town where the sun never sets becomes a debilitating constant in the life of the protagonist. The film is extremely atmospheric and becomes more than an investigative thriller, a psychological deep dive as one physically and emotionally is in disarray. An informed Al Pacino and a disturbing Robin Williams, this will really surprise you. Number 8 goes to The Dark Knight Rises. As I previously said, Nolan has not made a bad movie. They offer spectacles that are often nuanced with their human stories, but if I really look at the Batman trilogy presented by him, the conclusion definitely has to be the most underwhelming of the three. With the inclusion of Bane, the addition of characters like Catwoman, and an impending attack on Gotham, the stage was set for this to be an absolute beast on the big screen. But these are tough shoes to film when you deliver a knockout like Dark Knight. I feel like Dark Knight Rises' biggest failing probably is the way Nolan wanted to wrap it up. The convenience that followed almost became too generic, and while Bane offered the physical might, one reminisced about how the psychological warfare of Joker was probably the peak of what Batman ever faced. A film that just did not hold up together in its entirety. Number 7 goes to Memento. Unique, complex, yet so convincing. Memento, with its non-linear storytelling and unreliable protagonist, and probably the most unique attempt at a screenplay that unfolds in such a manner that you keep guessing till the last frame. Memento was one of its kind, and no wonder we dumbed it down so much with our Indian movie renditions. The murder and rape, connecting the dots with Polaroid photographs and tattoos, the integration of short-term memory loss throughout its narrative, it was something never seen before. And you acknowledge what people were saying regarding Nolan and his capability of doing what he did with his first feature film. It's one thing to formulate such a concept, but to execute it with such precision is something only a creator like Nolan can do. Number 6 goes to Batman Begins. Imagine being handed over the responsibility to create a trilogy with one of the most loved and revered superheroes, where the previous renditions were comical and zany to say the least. What Nolan brought to the table with his adaptations was a humanity and drama that was missing in the Val Kilmer and George Clooney versions. He brought a gravitas to the superhero franchise that one just could not associate with what people dismissed as gimmicky storylines with men in suits. The origin of Batman, the duel with Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow, and the chaos that follows in the city of Gotham made everyone absolutely eat up this reboot of the franchise and superhero. One could finally believe their favorite superhero was in safe hands. Number 5 goes to Prestige. What is absolutely stellar about Christopher Nolan is actually his versatility in storytelling that is not restrictive to science fiction or superhero movies but can adapt novels, successfully present them in Victorian England, and expand on a rivalry between two magicians and make it the most riveting and interesting tale one can think of. The film has everything from boasting of exceptional performances by Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, a screenplay that packs in many shocks as it progresses, and a climax that still makes my jaw drop about how meticulously a director can make a tale unfold. I have revisited this movie many times and it still holds up so well. Number 4 goes to Dunkirk. Easily one of the best Christopher Nolan films that is often overlooked because there is already a preconceived notion of what a Nolan movie should be like. Focusing on the Dunkirk evacuation of World War II, Christopher Nolan brought the same grittiness and dread that existed in the most popular war movies like Saving Private Ryan or Letters of Iwo Jima. The frames of this film are still so vivid in my memory, the big screen experience that presented the awful nature of war with an integration of Nolan's brilliance, as sequences often made me wonder, how the hell did he even capture such a thing? There is something about purists like Nolan who want to capture things as practically as possible, and Dunkirk is a marvel in precisely attempting the same. Number 3 goes to Interstellar. This is one movie that I have grown to love even more as I have rewatched it again and again. A dystopian future where mankind is suffering and astronauts seek for a new abode for humans beyond wormholes. The impact that such a journey has on our protagonist Joseph Cooper's personal life as one gets impacted by intergalactic travel, and the effects it has on real time unfolds into an emotional saga that I can't rave about enough. Hans Zimmer and his magic is in full display. The detailing in each frame is immaculate. The performances absolutely invest you in the journey, and while the concluding moments may be slightly convenient and, for a lack of a better term, filmy, the journey really uncovered so many facets of us as humans and what glues us together as one. I really do revisit Cooper watching back the tapes as time has passed, and it still makes me shed a tear. Number 2 goes to Inception. This is the movie where I saw set pieces and frames which I just thought were not possible. This is the movie where I felt Nolan is nothing short of a visionary as a filmmaker. A storyline of a professional thief who infiltrates people's subconscious. Are you kidding me? Reality, the dream state, and how one can get sucked into the realm of their own memories beyond reprieve absolutely glued everyone. Cobb and his crew and their various missions led to so many sequences that made us marvel the vision and execution of Nolan. I will never forget the set piece of a city folding on itself, or Cobb and his memories constantly pulling him back. There may not have been a better climax in modern day Hollywood history, and Inception really packed a punch as one of the most unique experiences in theaters. Number 1 of course goes to The Dark Knight. If I think about the Mount Rushmore of Nolan movies, Dark Knight really has to be number 1 for simply the elements Nolan could integrate in a quote-unquote superhero film. He brought a raw manic energy to Joker, a casting that shocked everyone, thinking that he's crazy for casting the guy from 10 Things I Hate About You. The psychological warfare between Batman and Joker, the exceptional action set pieces, the performances of a lifetime, the case of actually Batman losing, the dialogues that are still quoted today, there is a reason why it stands in the number 1 position. It really did become the gold standard of compelling and engaging superhero films. It's an understatement of the number of times I may have seen the film again, especially for its scenes, standing out for me as Nolan's best undoubtedly. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you think are the best Nolan movies in his filmography. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.